皆さん、こんにちは。開始までもう少しお待ちください。よろしくお願いします。
そろそろ開始ということですので、開始以降は吉野さんの方にバトンタッチしたいと思います。最後にもう一度だけ皆様にアナウンス、ご案内をさせていただきます。お名前をクラブネーム、ファーストネーム、ラストネームのように変更をお願いいたします。英語表記でお願いいたします。また、講師の方ができるだけ顔をご覧になりたいということですので、可能な方はビデオをオンにしてお楽しみいただければと思います。ただし、この録画は後日 YouTube で公開を予定しております。質問は後ほどまとめてお伺いいたします。チャットはご利用になれません。音声をご自分の操作でミュート解除することはできません。必要に応じて対応させていただきます。それではもうしばらくですね、もう2分ほどです。もう少々そのままお待ちください。よろしくお願いいたします。
Hi everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome to District 76, the storytelling workshop by DTM, Deepak Sharma. My name is Naoki Yoshino. I'm Program Quality Director of District 76 and honored to be the moderator for today's workshop. Toastmasters is a global family. Thank you so much for joining this event from not only Japan, but also other countries. We have received registrations from Japan, India, Bangladesh, the USA, Kenya, Malaysia, Thailand, Canada, South Africa, Nigeria, Kuwait, Cambodia, and Antigua Barbuda. I hope as many as people will join. Thank you again for spending time together. Let's enjoy and add today's event in as one of your wonderful stories. At first, I'd like to briefly explain about the program. Today, we will have the workshop for about 80 minutes, and then Q&A session for 15 or 20 minutes. And finally, DTM Deepak Sharma will summarize and wrap up the session. And then we will close the event. Firstly, I'd like to request you to turn your camera on if possible and show your face so that the presenter and also other participants can see your face and reactions. But please note, we will broadcast this video on YouTube. Then we will use menti.com. Can you see the chat box? So during the session, DTM Deepak Sharma will ask some questions. You can click this link and answer the questions. So the password will be announced later. Lastly, in the Q&A session, you can write your questions in the chat box, and I will summarize and ask DTM Deepak on behalf of you. So before we begin, I'd like to request our district director, Yusuke Ohashi, to give opening remarks. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Yusuke Ohashi.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
If you go from good to great, from great to remarkable, what do you do? What would you do? Now today we have the edge of speakers, an excellent top-notch of a world-level instructor today. We can learn from the edge speaker and we can gain the insight. Wow! Well, with Toastmasters, we can do inspire, we can persuade, and we can entertain by your speech. we have a fundamental message, and we craft the message, we deliver the message, and we suggest the message to the audience. But how we can make it more colorful, how we can make it more effective, the way we can do with the technique of storytelling that makes your speech much, much stronger and better, bigger, and bolder. So today, PQD Naoki Yoshino wonderfully joined, welcome Toastmaster Deepak Sharma from India. Excellent, top-notch word, excellent level, the speakers and instructors. Please enjoy and gain everything I would say he has, the techniques, and tailored to your experience in Toastmasters. Good luck and enjoy the Toastmasters journey together. Back to you, PQD Yoshino-san.
Thank you very much, the Toastmaster Yusuke Ohashi, for your wonderful opening remarks. For now, I'd like to introduce today's presenter, distinguished Toastmaster Deepak Sharma. When he joined Toastmasters 13 years ago, he had no idea about what the public speaking is. But 8 months later, after he joined, he pushed himself out of his comfort zone of a well-settled job of 16 years. In the last 10 years, he has trained and coached more than 20,000 people across the world, including CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, on various managerial and behavioral competencies. Currently, he is a professional speaker, storyteller, public speaking, and communication coach. In his Toastmasters journey, he has been the most successful club growth director in the world in the year 2016 to 2017 by opening 66 new clubs in 1 year, which made District 41, India, the best district in the world. In 2019, he moved to the USA and joined Kati Toastmasters Club. In the month of May 2019, he has won the District 56 International Speech Championship and was the first runner-up for the evaluation contest. Also, he is a professional member of National Speakers Association. We can learn and enjoy a lot from him. So please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Deepak Sharma.
Thank you so much, Naoki. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you so much. And as Naoki said, that 13 years before, I had no idea what is public speaking. And that's 100% true. I was 39 years of age, or I think I was 38 years of age when I had no idea. I used to sit behind a table as HR officer and think, how do I speak with more than 2 people? But the day I entered Toastmasters Club, my life changed 360 degree. I know, I felt the same thing that all of you have felt, that you cannot speak. I also felt that I cannot speak. But cutting the long story short, in last 13 years, I have come a long way. Why I'm sharing this with you? Because if I can do it, anybody can do it. Because my mother tongue was not English. I had no clue what English language is. I used to face a lot of challenge when I entered Toastmasters Club initially. Slowly, I have not only worked on my public speaking journey, but I worked on my language skills too. I'm not an expert. I'm still a work in progress. And that is my story. Everyone has a story. There is a story in you. There is a story everywhere. So it's not about me today. We're going to talk about you. We're going to unleash some of those stories out of you that you have actually not been able to discover, that has been hidden somewhere into your subconscious. And the idea of this workshop today is, let us understand how do we use these stories to change our life 360 degree. When I talk about story, this particular story reminds me a lot of things. There was this beggar sitting in a corner with this sign, I'm blind, please help. I'm blind, please help. And people used to come, some used to come and put some money in his cap. Some used to look at him, ignore him, and go away. One day, a French poet walked down the street and he saw this sign next to beggar. And he asked beggar, hey, how are you doing? He said, not good. People are not giving much of money to me. Can you give me some money? The poet said, I'm a poor poet. I don't have much of money to give it to you. But yes, what I can do is I can help you changing your sign. And what he did, he changed the sign to spring is coming, but I won't see it. Next day, when the poet came back and asked the beggar, hey, how are you doing today? He said, you know, my cap was full 3 times today. What did you do? He said, my friend, I didn't do anything. I just changed your statement to a story. Are you getting what I'm saying? When you change a statement to a story, people connect. People connect with you. People look from your perspective. What happens when you talk in stories? You know what happens? People helps you build relationships. People empathize with you. They care for you and they get connected with you. Stories help us to do all these things. In today's program, we are not going to talk about how to build stories in your speeches. That is one part. But we are going to talk about how to use this power of stories in life, in your professional life, in your speeches, in your presentations, in your office, in your professional life, while talking to your kids, in your personal life. You know why? Because everybody loves stories. Don't you love story? Tell me, how many of you have kids? Most of you. And has ever your daughter or your son have come to you in the night and told you, Papa, Dad, I want to see a PowerPoint presentation? No, they always come and say, Dad, I want to hear a story. Can you tell me a story? Can you share something new with me in the form of story? And we buy story books actually to tell stories to them so that they can enjoy it. You remember, most of us have a childhood. And during our childhood, we have used stories. And this is how we have grown. Do you remember this scene? When we used to sit around the fire with our grandfather, with our grandmother, around the fire, or in the night during those winter days on the bed, and tell them, please, grandmother, please tell us a story. And then grandmother used to tell us stories of freedom fighters. stories of our country, some fables from the old age fables, and we used to enjoy. And do you also remember? Sometimes he used to or tell us the same story every day, but we used to enjoy the same story every day. That is the power of story. That is the power of stories. So we are going to talk about today how to unleash that power of stories and use this power in our life. Are we ready for it? Yes, I am also ready for it. I'm excited for it. I'm very excited that I have been invited at District 67, 676, and I'm going to share my experience of 13 years in next 80 minutes. Why I'm so passionate about it? Because I was a zero. 13 years back, I was a zero. And today, if I'm doing professional speaking, and if I've got an opportunity to do a training in India, training in US, and now training in Japan, it's a pleasure for me. A man who was not able to speak in front of one person 13 to 15 years back. Okay, today I'm sharing my story. And I hope you will understand why I'm sharing my story, because I have come from a place where every single person in this group is much better than me and can really, as our district director Yusufu said, it's all about moving from good to great and from great to remarkable. And that can only be done through stories. So let's see. Now, why stories? Because stories elicits emotions. There are emotions. Stories make us laugh. Stories make us cry. Stories make us enjoy. Stories make us sad. Have you ever seen a movie where a story is going through and suddenly you want to go to washroom, but you're holding on to your washroom because you don't want to miss that scene, that particular part of the movie? And you know why those scenes are created? Those scenes are called bathroom blockers. Okay, because at that particular point, they take the emotions to high. Whether it is emotions of anxiousness, whether it's emotion of happiness or joy or sad or some turnaround happening. But the idea is, when there are emotions in the story, then you are sticking to that story at that point of time. Your tears are falling down without even knowing. And that is what stories means. You don't listen to stories. You actually live those stories when you are enjoying and looking at those stories. So my friends, the whole idea about the storytelling workshop is how to use some techniques in this storytelling where we will not telling the stories, we will making our audience experience those stories. We are taking them on a journey with us. Yes, I'll hold your hand and bring you into my story, and you live that story with me. That is the thing we are going to do today. Now, what is a good story? What is a good story? I want you to go on this app called menti.com. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that screen. Sorry. Just a minute. Madam Contest Master. Now you go on this app called menti.com and put this code 304687 and enter what you think a good story is. You can enter one response, you can enter maximum 4 responses. Whatever your thoughts are, what is a good story is? Just open your mobile, open an app called menti.com, and a good story is impressive. It is on experience, absolutely fantastic. It is universal, relatable, compelling. It gives a lesson. It's call to action, involving, absolutely right. It gives a vivid imagery, inspiring, thought provoking. Yes, we are getting a lot of information, a lot of messages out here. Keep sharing. We would like to hear from you. What exactly a good story is? It makes us happy. It makes us positive. Shared with others, emotional, excellent. Super. Make you think. Oh my God, absorbing, rememberable. Getting a lot of responses. Yes. We have 155 participants in the group. I would love to have responses from everyone. Heart moving, it makes you think. Look at your own experience, and entertaining is actually leading, impressive. Great. Convincing, relatable, easy to understand. So we would like to stop here for a moment and look at this screen. It's impressive, it's universal, convincing. A lot of more responses are coming in. Great job. I think a lot of people have been able to access to menti.com now. It's a new app. I know you may be facing some difficulty. Thank you so much. I think I'll stop share here and talk to you again. A good story is entertaining. A good story is one word which came very strongly is relatable. Is relatable. And this is very, very important. There's something called commonality connects. When you say relatable, it means it has to be common. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to cut your hand or mount or climb a Mount Everest to share your story. No. Every life sitting here, every single person sitting here have good phase of life, have dark phase of life. And if you go into those phases, you have those stories hidden under it. So what we need to do is, where all you can use a story. So a good story is this, and where all you can use the story, as I said in the beginning, you can use these stories not only in your speeches, but you can use these stories everywhere in your presentations, in your conversations, while discussing, motivating your employees in the organization. So these stories are not only the stories for this speech. As I said in the beginning, please don't look at this workshop from a Toastmasters workshop. This is, look at a very broader, because why I can say is, I'll give an example. Once I went into an organization to do a training program. And as I was entering into that office, the security guard standing at the gate requested me, "Sir, you have come for training?" Now, I had come for training. I was giving a training, but there were other participants who were coming for training. They were taking training. So there was a lunch, a breakfast arranged for those participants in the hotel. And I already had my breakfast at home. Now, this security guard requested me to make an entry at the gate. And then he said, please go and have breakfast. I said, no. I am not a participant. I'm a trainer. I don't want to have breakfast. He very nicely said, sir, if you don't do breakfast, how will you do training? Please come and have breakfast. Now that security guard was not an educated person. He was standing at the gate, managing the gate, but so beautifully he told me that thing. Now I always share this story in my customer service training programs. I have shared this story in Toastmasters. How to talk to your new members when they enter. So it's not, you can share any story and connect it at any place in life. Now, where will you find your stories? Where will you find your stories? Can you go back again on menti.com? And there's a second question in there. I'll again share my screen. Where do you find your stories? Can you please share what is your thought about where do you find your stories? From my dream, wow, walking down the street, very nice. Biographies, people, movies, my own experiences. Everyday life, absolutely right. Newspapers, yes. With family, superb. Train station, nice. Talking to people, nice. Books, personal experiences. Daily life. See, the biggest thing that is coming is daily life. I'm liking it. Superb. In every person's life. Co-workers, internet, on the street, at home, my daily life. Movies, news, people, travel. Fantastic. I think you guys are amazing. I'm loving this participation. Daily activities, friends. Somebody wrote everywhere. Yes, you all are absolutely right. These stories are everywhere. You don't have to look for these stories, but these stories are everywhere around us. Just a minute, I'll share my screen again. Again, that is the reason I asked you. Some people think that your stories has to be very crazy. No. As somebody wrote, there are stories while walking on the street. There are stories in family. There are stories with friends. There are stories from personal experience. It means your stories doesn't have to be sensational. It has to be sincere. This is not said by me. One of my mentor and the world championship WCPS, Mark Brown, always says, your stories doesn't have to be sensational. It has to be sincere. Why? Because people connect with you when you share your common things with them. When I told you that when I first entered Toastmasters meeting, I was not able to speak. Don't you think you also have the same story? Most of us have the same story that I have the story. So it is very important that these stories have to be sincere. Now, question is, where do you find your stories? Let me ask you, have you seen a musk deer? Have you seen a musk deer? If you've seen a musk deer, raise your hand. Now, what is musk deer? Try to understand. Musk deer is a deer that carries musk under his nose. Musk is kind of a basically a kind of a smell. When he smells that musk, he thinks that there's a musk all around, and he keeps on looking for that musk. And we, as individuals, are actually that musk deer. We carry stories within us, but many times we get to meet a lot of Toastmasters and they ask us, how do I find my stories? Where will I find my stories for my speeches? My friend, you are full of stories, you're full of musk. The stories are within you. You don't have to go outside to find those stories. I will share with you some of the examples. First of thing, you have to create a story file. Now, it is very, very important that if you don't have a story file, you have to have a story file. What does it mean? It means that you can buy a small diary, or you can create a PowerPoint deck, or you can create a Word file in your computer. Anything that happens in your life, you just take a picture or write down one sentence. I'll give you an example. My daughter was born on 27th March 1996. As soon as she born, I wrote in, and at that point of time, I never wrote that. But when I became Toastmaster and I started learning about it, I went into my life and wrote that my daughter was born on 27th March 1996. Now, why did I write that? Because I had another story where my father died on 27th March 1995. Now, last contest, I participated in the speech contest and I gave a speech on the death of my father. Now, why that speech was important? The death was not the purpose of speech. The purpose of speech was that his death reminds me that I never used to talk to my father. I was scared of him. And the whole my life, I was scared of him. But when I started talking to him, when he was like, I was 23, 24, and I got married, he expired after 3 months of my marriage. And he expired when I was driving with him on a two-wheeler, a scooter, a motorcycle. Now, whole my life, that day when he was lying in the hospital, I was crying and asking myself, why didn't I speak up and talk to him and told him that I love you, Dad? Now, when I was few years back writing and making this story file, I wrote this thing in my story. And last year, not last year, rather this year, I created a speech out of it. And the title of the speech was, Why Didn't I? And the speech became so popular. It was, a lot of people came to me. They said, after listening to your speech, I have started going to my parents and started talking to them. I also never used to talk to them. Because my story is not only about me. My story is going to impact a lot of lives in future. So it's very, very important, my friends, that how do we impact through these stories? So everything that is happening in your life currently or in the past has to go into this story file. So make sure when you go tonight home, you make a story file, whatever form you want to do it. Now, what should happen in the, how do we find these stories? I say oldies are goldies. Unlock your memorabilia. Can you see these small floppies? Have you seen these floppies ever? I know if there are young people in the group, these are called floppies. All the millennials, this used to be like hard disk. You know, these floppies earlier used to be to store data. Now, what I'm trying to say through this, I'm trying to say, please go back into your life and find stories from your childhood, from your sad time, from your good time, with your friends, with your family. When you go and into your memories, you will find there is a gold there in your memories. Am I right? There is gold there in memories. You have no idea. When I went into my memories, I found my daughter's story. I found my father's story. I found stories of my friends. I found an accident that I had when I was in my college. So all those stories I used in my professional speaking journey, in my Toastmasters journey, in my training journey, and people connect with those stories because they have also gone through the same pain, same dark places. So it is very important to unlock your memorabilia. Now, how do you do that? You go through your stages of life. There was when you were a child, when you used to go into your primary school, go back into that childhood and think about what happened in that childhood and write down everything in your story file. You don't have to worry about whether you will be able to create a story out of it or not. No need. Just write down. You don't know. One day you will be able to pick up a piece out of it and create a magical story out of it, like I did. Then you have your college days. You have wonderful experiences during your college days. Then you have your family time. Some people who are, I can see they have like now in the age of 75, they have huge experience. So we all have stages of life and every stage tells a story. So make sure you go through these memories and find stories and write in your story file. Now, when you go into these memories, they will be like there is best and worst. Your best friend, your worst friend. Your best holiday, your worst holiday. Your best date, your worst date. Your best house or your worst house. Your best neighbor, your worst neighbor. Your best teacher, your worst teacher. Your best girlfriend, your worst girlfriend. It could be anything. Again, last and first. Your last affair, your first affair. Your last holiday, your first holiday. Your last speech, your first speech. So when you use these words, you will see, you will find lot of story. You just have to put a noun in front of it. Okay, so you'll find lot of stories. These are techniques that I've learned in my journey of last 13 years to find and dig these stories from memories. Now, where is your musk? I'm going to ask you, where is your musk? See, musk deer has musk under its nose, and you also have musk under your nose. Can you find it? Where is your musk? My friend, this is the musk. Your mobile phone. Your mobile phone has a gallery in it, and every picture in the gallery tells a story. Every picture in the gallery tells a story. This is the biggest tool that you have in your life that you can create stories out of it. We go everywhere, we take pictures, and then we forget about it. I want everyone to look at their picture on the mobile that you have saved. You will see even that picture will tell a story. So it is very, very important, my friends, that you have to look into your mobile, thousands of pictures, and there are thousands of stories. I'll show you some of the pictures that I have taken and how I have created stories out of it. Look at this. Can you tell me, look at this picture carefully. I'm going to keep it on 10 seconds. And then I'm going to stop share. And if you can raise your hand or unmute yourself, I can request the IT director to unmute and somebody can tell me What do you think this picture is all about? Any idea?
How about Naramoto-san? Naramoto-san, do you have any idea?
Shop? Coffee shop?
Pardon?
Coffee shop? Cafe?
Coffee shop. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Thank you. Anybody else? Yes. Oita Naiko, can you somebody unmute? Okay, I have. Yes.
Teamwork.
Teamwork. Okay. Okay. What else? Naoki, what is your thought on this picture?
Yeah, I thought some music bar.
Okay, you saw some new music thing. It may be a music shop.
Yes.
Okay. Yusuku, what do you think?
Careful. Well, shops. I don't know.
Which shop?
Careful.
Okay. Let me tell you, let me show you this picture again. And this is a car repair shop.
Car repair shop.
Yes, this is a car repair shop. When I moved to US last year in February, I bought a second-hand car. And I went to this shop to actually show my second-hand car, just to get a little bit of work in that. I was shocked to see this whole car repair shop. And I took a lot of pictures. And I used this particular picture many times, this story around innovation. Okay, so I go wherever I take pictures. Now, this is a picture of a giant wheel. Everybody could relate to it. I was in Chicago, or I think I was in Georgia. Somewhere I saw this wheel. I took this picture. Now, how do I relate this picture to anything? I use this picture as a story wherein I tell people, if you look at this picture, there are spokes in this picture which connects the whole giant wheel together. Okay. Similarly, we have spokes in our life. We are part of our life. If you miss any part, you will not be able to balance our life. Similarly, we have part in storytelling. These spokes are like part of storytelling. If you miss one part in storytelling, you will not be able to create a great story. So this whole picture can be related in any way. This is my story. Now, I came to US. I was well settled trainer in India. I have already reached district finals in Toastmasters. I had worked as trainer after joining Toastmasters for 10 years. And then I burnt my boats and left everything in India and came to US because my family was here. And then I started working in a restaurant in initial days in Panda Express. The first day I got my uniform in the Panda Express, I went into the washroom and took this picture because I know that once I become successful in US, this is a great picture to share my story where I started from in this country at the age of 48 again. So it is very, very important to take pictures. This is a great picture where I went to, I was on an official speaking tour and I stayed in a hotel and where I was given a wonderful service by these two beautiful hotel employees. I took a picture with them and every time I talk about customer service, I talk about communication, the way these guys communicated with me, I was impressed. So every picture shares a story. Every picture shares a story. This is a wonderful story that I use. Okay, can you look at this picture and somebody can tell me what this picture is all about? Who would like to share? Anybody? No, everybody is quiet. Yes, Wakayama, I'm unmuting you. Yes.
Hello. He was cleaning up the road, I guess.
Okay.
And you talked to him.
Okay, he was cleaning the road. I talked to him. Okay, good thought. So this picture was not about that. This picture was, every day I used to go for a run, and still I go for a run. Every morning when I go for a run, every alternate day, I used to see this gentleman. He is 83-year-old, and he used to go, he used to run, he used to walk, he used to run, he used to walk, he used to run, he used to walk. For 1 month, I was watching him. One day, I stopped him. I said, "Sir, I've been watching you every day, that every second day that you come here and run. Why do you do that?" He said, "I'm at 83, and every day I run for 9 kilometers. Every day, around 5.5 miles. And it keeps me healthy." I said, "Then why don't you run every day?" He said, "One day I run, one day I do exercise at home." I said, "So what is your message to the young generation?" He said in a very beautiful way. He said, "I've been running for 53 years. And I know that I will still live for another 20 years easily." He said, "I have no problem. I am very healthy gentleman. I don't have any medical challenge, only because for last 53 years, I'm running every day." Now I use this story when I talk about discipline. I use this story when I talk about consistency. I use this story when I talk about momentum. So one story, the one picture that you take can be used in many different ways. So it is not necessary that story has to be in your speech in Toastmasters. That story, I'm again and again saying, stories are so powerful, especially when you are giving your professional presentations. Nobody likes to see those PowerPoint and data and those charts and bar charts on the presentation. Everybody would love to hear these stories. And when they hear, because there is a deteriorated child within us. Who are adults? Adults are deteriorated children. They want to hear stories, but they will never say that we love stories. They will sit like this to watch presentation. But when you tell them stories, they will enjoy those stories. You all are enjoying the story. So it's with everyone. So stories are so powerful that they can change the way people think about you. They will build your credibility in the market. They will pay you strong money if you are a presenter, if you are a professional speaker. I'll give you an example. I was recently listening to a professional speaker called Captain Charlie Plum. I think his name is right. Captain Plum. Now, how many of you heard this story? Who pegged my parachute? Anybody? Now, Captain Charlie Plum is a very famous speaker as part of National Speakers Association. And this gentleman was in Air Force. And after retiring from Air Force, one day he was sitting at a restaurant and one gentleman came to him and said, "Sir, you are Captain Plum?" He said, "How do you know me?" He said, "Sir, I know that you were actually captured by enemies and you were there in the prison for 6 months. And then you came back after 6 months from the enemy's prison." He said, "How the hell this gentleman know about all these things?" He said, "How do you know about all these things?" He said, "Sir, because I pegged your parachute when you were in Air Force." He said, "Oh my God." Then he said, "I hope it worked." And then he left that place. Now, Captain Charlie Plum A simple incident. A simple incident. Captain Charlie Plum used this story, who packed your parachute, into his professional speaking journey. Now, every day in our life, somebody is helping us. Somebody is delivering newspaper to us. Somebody is helping us in our managing our house. Somebody is helping us in doing a lot of other things. Our employees are helping us. So we don't even know that who are the people helping us. You have attended this program. You don't even know who all were there in making this program a success. Now, all those people are actually packing your parachute. And you don't even know. And Captain Charlie Plum used this whole concept of packing parachute into this learning, that we have to be grateful to people whom we don't even meet, but who are working behind the scenes. So ask yourself, who packed your parachute? So this is very simple story, but I don't know, any story can become a very powerful story in your life. So for me, this was a very simple story, but this became a very powerful story. Now, before sleeping today, when you go back and before sleeping today, ask yourself these questions. Now, these questions are: what amazed you? What amused you? What excited you? I learned this thing from my mentors, Darren LaCroix, Mark Brown, Craig Valentine, Patricia Fripp. I learned these things from them. What amazed you? What amused you? And what makes you excited today? And then you write this thing in your story. And the last but not least is, what derailed you? Now, when I say what derailed you, it means many times we are going right on the track in life, during the day, during the week, during the month. Suddenly, something happened and you get derailed. For example, we all were in the world enjoying our life. Suddenly, COVID-19 came and everybody got derailed. And with COVID-19, each one of us have our own story. Each one of us have our own story. Don't you think all of you have a lot of stories that derailed you? Every single person, when you go back into that memories, as I said, you will see there are a lot of dark places in your life. What do you mean by dark places? Your sad times, where you are depressed, where you are lost, your failures, your flaws, your failures, your tragedies become your real stories today. When something was not working out, you were totally about to give up, but today things have worked out and things are in much better shape. So when you look back into those derailing times, you will realize those were the stories. I remember when I first time participated in the contest, international speech contest, in first 3 minutes, I forgot my speech. Had it ever happened with you? I'm sure it has happened with many of us. But does it mean we are a failure? No, it's a story. I'll give you an example. I'm going to show you a speech in a while. Now, in 2018, I prepared on that speech for many years. And I was taking coaching from Mark Brown. And I lost at the district finals in India in 2018. I was, of course, not happy. I was a little down. It was my dark place because I had worked very hard on it. In 2019, in February, I shifted to US. And in the month of March, the international speech contest started. I joined a club and they used the same speech in the contest and I won the district championship. So I was excited. I called Mark Brown. I said, Mark, I won the contest. He very nicely said, my friend, same speech. Last year, you lost the contest. And this year, you won the contest with the same speech. There is a story in it. So now, he gave me an idea. Sometime in future, I might write a story on this journey of losing and winning. So many times in life, we get derailed, but there is a story in it. Story file is full of gold. When you start filling up your story file, all the techniques that I've told you about making and writing and putting pictures and putting notes in your story file, it will become a gold. It will actually, it will be a gold. I know whenever I have to give a speech, I just go into my story file, something or else I will find. And you have to actually, how to convert that gold into a masterpiece. See, if the gold is lying as a gold bar, it is of no use. You have to actually convert into some ornament. You can see it in picture. But if it is lying in a gold bar, it is of no use. You have to convert it into a masterpiece. And how do you convert a gold into a masterpiece? How to create a masterpiece is, to create a masterpiece, you have to master every piece. Remember this. To create a masterpiece, you have to master every piece. If you remember, I showed you that giant wheel. There were those spokes in that giant wheel. Now, every spoke is one piece of your story. And unless you master every piece, you will never be able to create a story. Let me give you an example. If you have a great opening, but you don't have a great closing, is it a masterpiece? No. If you have a great opening, you have a great closing, but you don't have a great structure, is it a masterpiece? No. If you have a great structure, but nobody laughs, it is a masterpiece? No. So everything is required to become a masterpiece. You have to master the opening, you have to master the closing, you have to master the emotions, you have to master the story, you have to master humor, you have to master transitions, you have to master everything in the story to create that masterpiece. I know that I will not be able to do a justice to create help you create a masterpiece through this 80 minutes workshop. That is why on request of a lot of my friends and members, in the month of February, I have started my YouTube channel. And the name of the YouTube channel is Deepak Sharma Speaks. I'm repeating it, Deepak Sharma Speaks. DeepakSharma Speaks. And I've been continuously keep on posting these small pieces so that our Toastmasters friends can take benefit of my experience from my YouTube channel whenever they want. So it is very, very important to create a masterpiece. Now, I would like you to go back to menti.com and I would like to understand from you, my friends, what do you think? What is your biggest challenge in storytelling? Can you open menti.com? I will again share the screen. Just a minute. The third slide, what is your biggest challenge in storytelling. Same, you just start sharing your one challenge that you think you have in storytelling.
You can find the link of menti.com in the chat box. Okay.
Honesty, application, not getting too nervous, motivation, memorizing, try to say too many things, okay? Consistency, very good. Structure, yes. I'm going to share with you structure today. Effective punchline. How to organize a story, yes. Honesty, relaxed mind, try to say too many things. Deepening the message, nice. True to yourself, lots of laughter. Time management, yes, absolutely right. You cannot have stories all over the place. Adding emotions, absolutely right. Which details to tell, which to remove, absolutely right. Body language. Turning point, yes, very important. Memorizing, superb. Thank you so much. And you all are absolutely right. I also had the same problem when I was learning this process. This is very, very important to understand that the way, the challenge I have gone through, the challenge you are going through, every single person goes through the same challenge. The beautiful part is we have the same challenge, but we also have the same solution, because storytelling is not a rocket science. It's a process. When something is a process, anybody can learn it. Anybody can learn it. One, you have to understand that this is a process. Second, you have to make sure that you practice this process again and again, again and again, again and again. Because if you really want to have to become master, then repetition is the mother of mastery. Don't worry. And we are so lucky. All the 150, how many people are there? 163 people in the group are so lucky that we have Toastmasters. And we can make mistakes. I always tell, Toastmaster is something when you go to Toastmaster stage and even you puke, people will still clap for you. So no worries about making mistakes. Try your stories in the Toastmasters Club. Whatever you do, you forget, you lose, you make mistake, you create mess, you will only get applause. So make sure that make lot of practice. And today, these days, we have a small tool called mobile. We can record it whenever we practice. Record. Things that get recorded get rewarded. Remember this thing. Things that get recorded get rewarded. I do everything on my mobile phone. I give a speech, I come back and look at the speech. How I look at it with voice and video. Then I switch off the video, I will only hear the voice. Then I switch off the voice, I will only look at the video. You will see in all the situations, you will find different things. When you only hear the voice, you will look at your tonality, you will look at other part of it. When you look at the video, you look at your body language, how nervous you are, whether you're moving on the stage, whether you're creating all those things. So we'll look at what is the storytelling process. Just a minute. So now, this is a picture of me. I'm doing a rappelling in this picture. Okay. Now, I was not this confident rappeler. This is not a very old picture. This is a picture which was taken by me and around, I think, 7 years back, 8 years back. But I was not that good a rappeler But I'm going to show you a speech just now, and how did I picked up a story from my childhood and tried to convert into a masterpiece. It may not be a perfect speech. It may not be a good speech. It is still needs improvement. But for me, what I'm going to try to show you is I picked up a small piece from my life and tried to polish that gold and convert it into, which have actually helped me to win a district championship. Okay, so it's not about, I can show you a world championship speech also, but I'm showing you a speech which was given by me, a person who is less like you, a work in progress. But something has happened which has helped me with my experience to changing small things, to tuning small things by changing every piece of it and creating a small, better masterpiece. Look at this speech, and then I will share with you the storytelling process, why it is so important. Just a minute, let me check if the sound is clear. Basic, share computer sound, up to my screen, share. Okay.
Deepak Sharma, because it's not hurting you, because it's not hurting you. Deepak Sharma.
Have you ever seen a dog sitting on a nail? I heard this story from my father when I was 6 years old. A black skinny dog with watery eyes was sitting outside a house and howling. A passerby asked the owner, "Hey, why is the dog continuously howling?" He said, "Oh guy, he's in pain because he's sitting on a nail and it's hurting." What? Why can't he get up? Maybe because it's not hurting enough. Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, I could not understand this story that day. Time went by, I grew up, and like many of you, I also started doing door-to-door jobs. Home door to car door to office door to car door to home door. Isn't this door-to-door? Outcomes? Zero money, zero happiness, and zero girlfriends. I used to complain about everything to my mother, about my boss, my colleagues, and all the girls who were not responding to my proposals. These complaint sessions had become a ritual at my house, and I had become a complaint master. One day, when I was busy with this ritual, my father walked in and said, "Hey, what's your problem in life?" I said, "Dad, going to this office every day is painful. I want to leave this job. It hurts." He looked into my eyes and said, "You are a dog sitting on a nail." The whole story flashed in front of my eyes. I was in the same state, sitting on a nail and howling. He said, "I know you are in pain, but you're not doing anything about it." "Dad, I am." "Yes, you are, my son. Complaining about it to the whole world. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Not doing anything about it. You know why? Because it's not hurting now." it's not hurting enough. Was the wake-up call I got that day. And when you wake up, God always has a plan. In the following week, my office went for an adventure program and I was introduced to rappelling. This involves descending from top of a cliff with the help of a rope. I was all excited wearing those adventure gears. My instructor hooked me to the rope and said, go and stand on the edge. Oh, I'm going to have some fun. Oh my God, this looks like a 200 feet drop. I can't do this. This is not my cup of tea. Friends, the world looks different from 200 feet. I requested my instructor, please allow me to go back. He said, knees straight, legs apart, and look into my eyes. What all crazy things you're telling me at 200 feet? Legs apart, look into your eyes. He said, yes. And now, take the first step. And I took. Pushed me back to the edge. Oh no, oh no, oh no. My feet were frozen. My heartbeat was in ears. I was scared to death. But I took a deep breath. And then took that first step. Second step. Oh. And in no time, I was in the middle of the rock face. I could feel that fresh breeze hitting my face. Hey, I could see my friend standing on the ground. Hey, take a picture. Take a picture. I was enjoying that descent. I felt as if I was on the top of the world. Have you ever felt that magic? And you took that first step towards conquering your fears? Stepping off that edge was so painful, as if I was getting off this nail I'd been sitting on for years. And when you will try to get off this nail, it will be painful. But once you do, it's pleasure. Since that day, I've taken many first steps. I was the first person in my family to go for inter-religion marriage. I was the first person in my family to leave my job to pursue my passion. And probably, I'm the first person in this Toastmasters family to lose elections. Of all the 7 club positions, on the same day in the same club. Success or failures, who cares? I'm proud that I took that first step. Friends, this nail is nothing but our comfort zone. And we can only get out of it by doing the uncomfortable. And it can only happen when we will take that. Tell me, do you feel that you are also sitting on this nail? Don't nod your heads or raise your hands. I know most of us are sitting on this nail. Most of us are in some kind of pain. Most of us are getting hurt. But we are not doing anything about it. You know why? Because it's not hurting.
Thank you so much for watching this. Just a minute. Thank you so much for watching this video. And I showed you this speech. There's a reason behind it. I lost this speech, same speech, the district finals in year 2018. But that was the year when I got more than 100 messages from various people that you have shown us a nail that we have been sitting on it for many years. And that was a big win for me because the speech is not about you. The story is not about you. A story, a good story is if they can impact your audience mind, if they can change the perspective of your participants, audience, or the people who are listening to you. The whole idea about the story is to leave a long lasting impact. Are you with me on this? Yes. So that is very, very important. And one incident in my life when I was in office and I was taken for a rappelling and I didn't do it. I can leave that incident in my memories also. But I picked up that gold from my story file and converted into the speech that I have shown you today. Now you are understanding why I'm saying that your stories are very powerful. You can also pick up small pieces in your life and convert those stories into big speeches, big presentations, and use it at different places. Now, let me show you what is the process you need to follow to convert or master these pieces into masterpiece. This is the process that I have always followed in my life, and I have learned from my mentors, and I have created. This is a lot of things that I have worked in the last 13 years and created my own process. The process is called storytelling process, and the first part is called anchor. Now, what is anchoring? Anchoring means as soon as a boat is on the harbor, you have to anchor the boat. So as soon as your speech starts, how do you anchor the audience? That is very important. It is very, very important. How do you anchor the audience? Because if you have lost the audience in the first 30 seconds, you're gone. That first 30 seconds is the key. But if you look at my speech, as I said on the stage I went, I said, have you ever seen a dog? Everybody thought, yes, I have seen a dog. And then I gave a pause and then I said, sitting on a nail. And then everybody laughed. And that was the anchor when everybody was walking with me in the story. So you have to create an anchor in the first 30 seconds. Second thing is settings. How do you create the setting of your story, of your speech? Now, I'll give you an example in this picture, in this story. I have a setting wherein on my right-hand side, there was a dog sitting on the ground. So I was showing that there was a dog. There was the owner of the dog on one side. My father was coming from this side. My mother was on this side. My instructor was here. My rappelling face was there. My friends were standing on the ground and looking at me and taking my picture. Okay. So that is the whole setting of the story. And I have not even later on, when I said I could relate that I was the one sitting on the nail. It means the dog was still there. So it is very, very important that you place the people, you place the characters, you place the inanimate objects into the story. And when you create a scene, and then you place your audience in that scene and your characters in that scene. Now, when your settings are there, then comes the characters. Now, characters you have seen, there were characters. My father was there, my mother was there, my instructor was there, my friends were there. So there are a lot of characters in the story, and every character has narrated a dialogue. They have not, I have not said, my father said, my mother said, my instructor, I never said that. A lot of people in the stories, they always narrate the stories. It's not a monologue, it's a dialogue. Never narrate a story. Never narrate a story. Rather, allow people to experience a story. Now, before I move ahead from characters, there is one more thing is very, very important, and that is called VAX. VAKS in settings. Now, when I say VAX means V means visual, O is auditory, K is kinesthetic, and S is smell. I'm repeating it. V is visual, A is auditory, K is kinesthetic, and S is smell. So it means you don't tell the story, you relive the story. How do you relive the story? Is by creating a visual. If you look at my speech, I've created a visual where I said there is a dog. I looked at that, said, oh, take a picture. And then I left the rope. And then I said, oh, I was actually showing. So people who love visuals, they will look at the visuals. When I said, I could feel the fresh air hitting my face. It was a feeling, a kinesthetic environment for people who love to feel. I was making different sounds in the my speech. People who love to hear. Though I was feeling scared, but I was making sounds. Ah, oh, no, I don't want to go. Oh, so people, so all the things. When you are setting a scene, you have to take care of visuals, you have to take care of auditory, you have to take care of kinesthetic, you have to take care of smell. And then you have dialogues. Now, as soon as the dialogues comes, the story should have some kind of tension in it. For example, as I said, my father walked in. My father immediately said, what's your problem in life? So it means suddenly I created that tension in the story. When my instructor came and said, go and stand on the edge, and I looked at the edge, I said, no, I don't want to do it. Again, I created a tension on it. And then again he said, look at me, widen legs, straight body, go straight. And then I was going behind, I was saying, my hands were sweaty, my lips were dried. I took that first step, second step, I was creating that tension. And then, so it is very important. Tension, you can also call it conflict, and then you elevate that tension. Because only tension will not create a lovely story. But then you have a solution. Now, how does a solution come into a story? You should not give solution yourself to the story. In my story, who was the guru? My instructor was the guru. Okay. So somebody has to be a guru in the story who will come. It may be a book. It may be a boss. It may be your father. It may be another character. It may be an inanimate object. It could be anything, but you have to learn from somewhere. You cannot learn from, you cannot become a guru in the story. So the powerful thing is when you are learning from something. When you learn from, even if it is an experience, in your experience, somebody will tell you why you have to do this thing. And when the solution happens, at that point of time, you actually become new person. Am I right? As soon as I took that first step, I felt as if life has changed. And my whole fear has gone. And suddenly I came. It was all about, I was sitting on that nail. And when I was coming out of the nail, it was painful. But as soon as I came, it was pleasure. So it is very simple that after tension, you have solution. And once you have a solution, you have to give your, as soon as I transformed, then I came on the stage and forward and gave my message. And I said, I know everybody is sitting on this nail. Okay. And then people started relating to it. Unless I get transformed, I cannot give a message. But one thing is very important, my friends, in message. That phrase, you remember what is my phrase in this story? The name of the speech is "It's Not Hurting Enough." I use that phrase in the beginning, I use that phrase in the middle, and I also use that phrase in the end when I close the speech. Now, the beautiful part of the phrase is it is called, I always call it key phrase. A lot of people call it foundational phrase. I also call it, so I'm doing a video on it. I think you will get a more detail. My video will be released on Monday on my YouTube channel. And the name of the video is Phrase That Pays. Phrase that pays. So you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and you can see that video. Now, why I call it phrase that pays? Because if you are a professional speaker or you are a presenter and you are picking up a message and full presentation is around that phrase. For example, whenever I used to do a communication workshop, I have a phrase, very famous phrase. It's not what you say, it's how you say. Now, I used to use this phrase throughout my workshop. And I used to close my workshop after 2 days on this phrase. And people don't take anything from there, but if they take this one phrase, it's important. Till today, I get messages from people. People know me by "It's not hurting enough." So till today, I get messages from people that, yes, it's important. We have to come out of that nail. A lot of people call me, "Sir, I am still sitting on that nail. How to come out of that nail?" So if you are able to deliver that message, my friends, you will be able to. It's not about winning a contest. It's about leaving an impact with people who are front of you. Because when you get that 7 minutes in Toastmaster or 10 minutes in your office or half an hour in making a presentation wherever in the world, it's not about you. You have hundreds of people sitting in front of you who are spending time. It's their time, and you have to make sure that you give worth of their time by using stories, using this storytelling model, and taking this journey and making sure that they go back with a strong message from there. So to move, I would like to hold on here and ask you, and I think I will request Naoki, at this point of time, I have shared a lot of information, and if we can do a quick 15 minutes Q&A. If you have any questions, you can write to Naoki and write it in the, and he can summarize those questions and we can go through and answer these questions for you if you have any doubts.
Yes, now everyone can write their comments or questions in the chat box. Okay, so I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
Deepak sir, how do you use your structure to make elevator speech?
Can you come back again? How do you use the?
Use the structure to make an elevator speech, like to motivate listeners.
Motivate listeners. Okay. Now, one thing is very important. It has to come, this has to be two things. One is authenticity, and second is vulnerability. When you have your own story, when it is your own story, then you will tell that story from your heart. If it is story from a book or story from a newspaper, it will not be your own story. Okay. So authenticity. Second is you have to become little vulnerable in your speech. For example, I said in the beginning that I never used to go to office. When I started talking to you, I told you that I was not able to speak in English. I was not even aware that what is my I don't even know that P of the public speaking. So authenticity plus vulnerability builds credibility. One is that. Second is common things connects audience. If you go to office, everybody goes to office every day. And if you're sharing a story while you're traveling, everybody will be able to connect with you. But if you are sharing a story where you are talking to people, let's say you're talking to kids, and you are sharing a story where you are talking about going to office, they will not be able to connect with you. You have to look at the audience. Who are the audience? If you go to non-Toastmaster audience and talk about Toastmaster story, do you think they will be able to connect with it? No. So you have to be very, very careful that who is your audience and what is your message. So first you choose a message and then look at the audience. And as I said, the process of this whole process, you have asked me a very overall question from opening. There are some stories which are the main story. And then there are some stories that are supporting stories. So if you look at my speech, the main story was rappelling story. But the support story was a story of my father, story of the dog, story of other things. They were all supporting the main story. So those stories are small stories, but the bigger story is my main story. It is not necessary. So you can also have a single story also. If you look at the Ed Tate speech, Ed Tate was a world champion. If you look at his speech, he has one story all through the speech. So you don't have to, it is not necessary. There's no rule as such. But the only thing which I always say, it has to be sincere, it has to be your personal, and it has to come from your heart. You will win the audience.
Thank you so much. And I've received another question. I think it's very common.
Sure.
We sometimes think our life is very normal. We are ordinary people. So our stories might not be very interesting for other people. So, and how can I find a big challenge to make audience interested?
Congratulations that your life is normal. because only the stories are there in normal people's life. Look at me. My life is also very normal life. But every person has a childhood. Every person, you think that your life is normal. Don't you think you have ups and downs in life? Don't you think you have a failures in your life? You think that failure are normal. For example, death of my father. It's a death. It's a simple death in any family. You know, people die every day. Okay. My father died 25 years back in 1996. I never thought about it. I also used to think this is a normal thing. But when I learned this whole process of storytelling, I realized there is a story in it, man. And this year I used, after 25 years, I used a story which happened in my life 25 years back. And I used that this year and created a speech out of it on why we should speak in front of people, how important it is to talk to your parents, how important. So the whole speech was about why didn't I? So everything, I joined Toastmasters. I use my stories every day of Toastmasters to motivate Toastmasters audience. That when I joined Toastmasters, I went to the club. I was not able to speak for 30 seconds on table topics. And then after that, for 6 months, I never returned to the club. For 6 months. I joined Toastmasters actually. So I came to Toastmasters Club in March 2017, but I joined Toastmasters finally in December 2017. Why? Because for 6 months, I was so scared of table topics. I cannot speak. But now, if you go on my YouTube channel, I have put a half an hour module on table topic, how to attempt table topics. So it's a story. Now, when I share that story, can you all relate to it? Yes, you all can relate to it because you are also Toastmasters. You have also participated in table topics. You also felt that butterflies. Everybody could relate to it. So commonality connects. If I say I was a best speaker and I now become the world champion, what is the story in it? There is no story. When you fail, and then you pass, that's the story. So that happens in everybody's life. So common things, if you go and look at your memories, you will find a lot of stories in it, my friends. If you go and look at your mobiles, you'll find a lot of stories in it.
Thank you so much. And another question is that when you deliver a speech in a different culture, for example, you are born in India and now you will deliver in the USA, and now today you are presenting in Japan. So do you, how can you adjust your message to the different culture? Or
So one is, I always believe feedback is breakfast for champions. Feedback is very, very important. So when I came to US with the same speech, I knew that I had to change a lot of things in that. So first time I gave a speech in the Sweet Talkers Toastmasters Club, I requested a lot of Toastmasters, please tell me what is wrong in the speech. A lot of people came to me and told me that these are the words people in America will not understand. Please change these words. For example, there was a word in my speech that I used to crib a lot with my father. In India, when we use the word crib, it means that you get irritated, okay, or you always keep on complaining. But in America, they don't use crib. In America, crib means where you keep the baby. Okay, so I changed that word crib to complaining. Then I used to use a word, a lot of other words which I changed according to the situation. And Naoki, if you remember when I was talking to you, I asked you that what kind of audience you have. Do I have to speak slowly? Or do I have to speak fast?
Yes.
Okay. So it is very important when you are going to for example, I do a lot of professional speaking. And many times I speak in a country where there are people from different, for example, in our Toastmasters Club, and we have people from various countries. So you have to adjust, you have to ask your audience or ask people and what kind of feedback, or some people, what you need to change in your story. It is very important to take some feedback from people and accordingly make those adjustments according to the culture, because you have to be culture sensitive.
Thank you so much. So speech is communication. So we need to get the feedback and adjust our speech to suit the speech to the different culture.
Absolutely,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I have similar questions from some audiences. So about the humor, how can we add humor to our speech?
Okay, the humor is not added to the speech. Humor is uncovered in the speech. Okay, there is humor in everything. There's a humor in tragedy. There is humor in sad times. I'll give you an example. I delivered a speech where on a tragedy where I was going on I was on a two-wheeler. I was driving two-wheeler and my friend was sitting behind me, and suddenly I saw a big car coming and it came and banged my bike. But that was a tragedy. But the humor was that as soon as my friend started seeing the car, he knew that I cannot leave the bike. He jumped out of the bike and only I was left. So when I delivered that speech and told people that he jumped out of it, everybody laughed. Now, in the speech, just now you saw, when I was coming down, I said, and I saw my friends and I said, take a picture. Now, I could have, why do I leave the rope? I left the rope just to create a humor. And they said, oh no, take a picture. And everybody laughed at that point of time. So humor is a separate subject. It's a separate workshop. Yes, it is not, you don't have to add humor. Everybody has humor in life, but you have to uncover that part of it. Yes, I'm going to, very soon, I'm going to put a module on uncovering humor on my YouTube channel. Okay, I know we cannot, that's the reason a lot of my friends all over the world keep on telling me to conduct a module. So that's the reason I've already put a module on table topics on my channel. So that is available. You can see it. A lot of people are taking benefit of it. Now I'm going to put a module on humor very soon, which will be a 1 hour full session, so that I will tell you how to uncover humor in that module. So, but let me only tell you at this point of time is you cannot add humor. Humor is not a spice. You already have humor in your speech with some process, like a storytelling is a process. Humor is also a process. And in that module, I'm going to put that humor is a process, and you can uncover humor in your speeches by using that process. Very simple, not difficult. Only you have to just learn the process.
Thank you so much. So uncover our humor. So we will learn via YouTube to master how to uncover humor. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And another question is about the dark place. You said, so go to the dark place and find the story. But sometimes, because the dark place is very serious, and the audience also overwhelmed and become too serious. So how?
Very good question.
Yeah.
Very good question. I learned from Mark Brown that if you want to go to dark place, you should only go to dark places if you are able to come out of it. For example, when I gave a speech recently, and initially when I was talking about my father, and in that speech, I have a scene where I am here, I'm saying, I could see my father lying there, and I was crying, literally crying on his body. And I was, initial practice, when I was doing that particular part and practicing that part, I was crying, literally crying in my speech. And then I had to stop that speech in between. And then when I spoke to my mentor, he said, you should only deliver this speech when you are able to come out of that dark place. It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous, but then I practiced a lot. And I finally decided that I slowly going to come out of that dark place. But it is my request to everyone, practice at home. If you are able, if you are comfortable sharing that dark place, and if you're comfortable, but if you are able to uncover humor in that dark, because every dark place will have a humor, 100%. 100% every tragedy, you know, Darren LaCroix always says, humor stems from tragedy. Today, for example, let's take an example. When in our childhood or in a young age, when our girlfriend or boyfriend leaves us, we will think, oh my God, my life has finished. That girlfriend has gone and left me, and a boyfriend has gone and left me. What will I do? But today, when we look back and think about that thing and we laugh, oh, what I used to say about me, that's a humor now. But that time it was tragedy. Am I right? So every tragedy, whether it's dark places or not dark places, always have a humor. And you have to learn the process to uncover that humor.
Thank you so much. So go to the dark place only when we can come back.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just sneak in and sneak out.
Thank you so much. And the last question, I'm preparing a pathways project for storytelling. Do I always need to include the message in the story?
Okay, now a very important point. When we are doing projects, and when we also, you remember, we had a storytelling manual in Toastmasters. Every storytelling manual have a objective. So some had objective is entertainment story. Some objective was a cultural story. So it is not necessary. You have to, in pathways or in other storytelling manual, you have to go by objective. But I am telling you from an overall perspective, when you are using stories to deliver a presentation, you have to have a message. Because without message, because it is like, stories are like, tell a story, make a point. Tell a story, make a point. So either stories are for making a point or delivering a message. For example, as I said, phrase that pays. So your stories have to revolve around phrase. So a lot of people ask me this question, and I saw that question in that menti.com also, that what to keep in the story and what to take out of the story. Now, what decides that what should stay in the story is your phrase. Your phrase will decide what should remain in the story and what should go out of the. If some part of the story is not supporting the phrase, remove that. And as I said, I'm doing a video on phrase that pays, which will be launched on this Wednesday. You will get to know how to write a foundational phrase and what is the power of a foundational phrase in that 15 minutes video. So as I said, it is very difficult to give justice in a 1.5 hour workshop, but that's the reason it's important for me to keep on doing small pieces of videos so that people can watch at any point of time.
Thank you so much. So for now,
Any more questions?
Any more questions? Actually, I have many questions, but
Okay. So we can have last one question and then we can move ahead.
Okay. Preparing speech is relatively easy to use a story. It's not difficult to prepare the speech, but for the table topic, so how can we prepare or improve the skills to utilize the storytelling techniques?
No, you're talking about table topics or storytelling?
Table topics. Can we use the storytelling techniques in
Absolutely.
the table
For
topics?
example, I'll give you quickly a skill. There's something called Oreo. O-R-E-O, Oreo biscuit. You know Oreo biscuit? Okay, there is a brand called Oreo. It's called O-R-E-O. Okay, now Oreo. Now what happens is in table topics, when some topic comes to you, O means you give your opinion. Okay, R is you give the reason to support your opinion. Okay, why you are giving your opinion. And the E is your experiences to support the reason. Experience, and what is the experience? Experiences are stories. So, and then in the end, you again reinforce your opinion. So you open with opinion, you give couple of reasons, then you give one story to support your reasons, and then you close with again opinion. So this is a very nice way to deliver a table topic. And again, as I said, in my YouTube channel, you will have my table topic module, and this Oreo is one of the techniques I have explained in that in detail. And there are many other techniques explained. So stories can be used in table topics.
Thank you so much. I only knew prep, point, reason, prep, point,
Yeah.
reason, point,
Absolutely.
example point. Right? So
Example.
yeah, thank you for sharing. Oreo. So we will try to use it.
Great.
And now we'd like to close the Q&A session.
Sure. So in the end, I would just like to quickly share with you one thing. I received this message in 2018 and it says, "Hi Deepak, how are you? I've been thinking of you of late. You gave a speech sometime when I was active in Toastmasters. One of the things you talked of was, when was the last time you did something for the first time? I kept going back to this each time. I thought of a way to spend my time since then. I'm concluding an international solo trip for the first ever time and keep thinking of it. I wanted to say thank you." Now, this is a message I received in 2018 of a speech that I delivered in 2014. Okay, a speech that I delivered in a club in India in 2014, and I received this message in 2018. And the key phrase in that speech was, "When was the last time you did something for the first time?" I'm again telling you, when was the last time you did something for the first time? And this is not one of the message that I receive after I have delivered a speech which has a phrase. Many times I received messages from people, but this message really impacted me big way. Why? Because in 2014, I was a very new Toastmaster. I was just 4 or 5 years. I was not even AC, DTM. I was learning to give my speeches. And I have impacted somebody when I was in my journey of public speaking. I was a work in progress. And somebody writes to me in 2018 that I have impacted somebody at that particular point of time. So my only humble opinion to you is that, my friends, it is not where you are in your lovely life. It's all about collecting these stories and using this formula and keep sharing these stories in your Toastmasters journey, because you don't know whom you are going to touch in your journey of life. You may change a lot of lives in the process. You may impact a lot of life in the process. But when you impact life, people may not tell you at that point of time. Recently, when I gave a speech of my father, one guy came up and started crying in front of me. He said, "Immediately now I'm going out. I have not spoke to my mother for the last 1 month. I was so busy in my office. I'm going to call my mother right now and call her and tell her that I love you." And one lady came and said, "I was crying in your speech when I was listening to your speech." So you don't give speeches, you give experiences. So start giving experiences from today. Don't say that I am giving a speech. Just say that I am giving an experience to people, and ask yourself, what is your story? Because every person has a story. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, DTM Deepak Sharma, for the wonderful workshop.
Thank you so much.
This online storytelling workshop is first trial for District 76. Yeah, thanks to your cooperation, we made a good start. Thank you so much. And thank you very much for joining today, everyone, from the beginning to the end. So in the end, I'd like to quickly recap what we learned. So today we learned what is a good story. So DTM Deepak said, share sincere stories, not sensational. And we learned how to find a story. Create a story file. Story file is full of gold. All these are goldies. Unlock your memorabilia. And stage of life. So we can consider the stage of life to find a story. Best and worst, last and first. Don't be a musketeer. A story is always around us. Ask yourself what amazed you, what amused you, what excited you, and what derailed you. And we also learned how to create a masterpiece. To create a masterpiece, you have to master every piece. So, and a storytelling process. Anchor, setting, characters, dialogue, tension, solution, transform, and a message. And lastly, I'd like to share the book, Move Mountains, written by DTM Deepak Sharma. It's a wonderful storytelling book. So let's take actions and move our mountains together. He said, sometimes we feel when our dreams don't come true, and we feel dreams or goals like big mountains that we can't move. So by utilizing today's learning, we can take actions and move our mountains together.
I would like to say that all the stories in this book are 52 stories. I'm converting into all the video stories. So there are 26 stories from this book are on my YouTube channel. So every story has a message. So these are stories which are picked up from all over the world, but we have tried to dissect it, connect it to the real life.
Okay. Thank you so much for everyone. And thank you again, DTM, Deepak Sharma.
Thank you so much.
So,
Thank you so much. My pleasure. And it was
looking
nice seeing you all. Can you
Nice to see
just wait a minute? Can I take a picture? Can you all quickly? I'll take
Yes.
pictures of all the pages.
Okay.
Yeah, let me take. I hope everyone is open with their camera. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure seeing you all. It was wonderful meeting all. And thank you, Naoki, for organizing this.
Thank you so much. Wonderful workshop. Yeah, I really enjoyed the learn a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Looking forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.